Busisiwe Mavuso from Business Leadership South Africa is joining us for breakfast, a delicious breakfast, I have to say, this morning, with a lovely wrap and croissants and coffee. And, I mean, you probably get more airtime than we do. You're a bit of a celeb when it comes to the business world, and you're a busy lady, also on the board of Eskom. Touchy subject, I know. What is happening there? I mean, it just seems to be going round and round, but actually nowhere. I know that you cited some cases of people in Soweto. I mean, basically that the problem is from the top to the bottom, still.
Absolutely. I think let's agree, Jane, that with Andre de Ruyter there as the CEO, we are seeing a certain degree of stability. We are seeing a certain degree of consolidation and of interventions that are actually going to move the organization forward. I know, for instance, as the board, we signed off a procurement process for the 2,000 megawatts, which should, I think, be fed into the grid by June 2021, as it were. And you remember that in the economic recovery plan that the president announced on the 15th of October, he spoke to the 2,000 megawatts. That is actually going to be coming through soon. And I think there is efforts really by the executives to actually clean up the organization and to actually ensure, you know, that the utility is really brought back to stability. You know, we spoke earlier on about the issue of investment. And, you know, one of the biggest things why investment continues to be elusive for us as a country is precisely because we cannot guarantee energy stability and energy security.
Key.
You know, and when you look at how key that is precisely, right? Because really it is the fifth factor of production. So it becomes difficult to try to plead an investment case when you actually cannot guarantee that you will be able to produce, you know, for 18 hours in a day.
Yeah.
We have municipalities where there's load shedding for 12 hours in a day and 18 hours in a day. It becomes difficult because remember, we're an open economy, which therefore means we are not only competing with ourselves, but with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So imagine what that does to productivity. Imagine what that does to the unit cost of production. You know, imagine what that does to how we actually position ourselves, you know, in relation to the world, you know, and it makes the jobs of these CEOs who are leading these companies rather difficult because a lot of them are actually multinationals, which means that when they have to have a discussion around how they're actually going to allocate their capital as an organization, they go to wherever they are headquartered in Europe, right? And I have to plead my business case or my investment case as a South African CEO so that I can get the capital allocation towards investment. But if I'm not producing the necessary returns, if I cannot give the organization the right ROI, you know, if I cannot actually get productivity up precisely because I'm hit with load shedding 12 hours a day, they are definitely going to, you know, redirect that investment to another market, you know, or to Rwanda or whatever the case is. And I think that is the challenge that we are facing as a country. Hence, I was saying that, you know, to try and have an investment discussion right now is really a pointless exercise. You know, let's go back to the basics. I really believe that sequencing is necessary. So let's start with what is wrong, you know, from a structural perspective. What is it that we need to fix about our environment, you know, and therefore move along to talking about investment. You know, because then, you know, we're putting the cut.
And I have to start this in due time because we have to go to our sports news right now. Because recently we just read an article about how Eskom has been set back at least 31 billion rands. And obviously you touched on how municipalities are also affected. But I mean, it seems this relationship between Eskom and its contractors is still very much strained. When is Eskom going to get it right in terms of the procurement process and as far as contractors are concerned?
You know, I don't know if we should be having a conversation around Eskom. I'm worried about how we actually seem to think that energy security in this country, you know, Eskom has to be at the center of it. Why are we not having a conversation around competition? Why are we not having a conversation around bringing the private sector in? You know, you've got companies in this country which are saying, allow us to self-generate. We have the capacity to self-generate beyond what we need, and we can therefore have excess electricity that can be fed into the grid. Eskom is dysfunctional. It's going to take us many years to get Eskom right. You know, it is a Titanic. And if you're going to try and turn this ship, it's not going to happen now. And that is the honest conversation. So how about we bring in those that are ready, able and willing to actually produce electricity so that we can move this thing along?
I love it because, you know, coal is, I mean, as the US found under Donald Trump, coal is not cost effective anymore. You're not going to make money. Let's move on. And let's get Sports news with you, Nandi.